All right, yesterday, President Trump spoke to reporters about his White House meeting with the new president of Syria, Ahmad al-Sharaa. And keep in mind, this is a former terrorist who is now president. It was the first ever of this type. And President Trump thinks that al-Sharaa can actually make a difference there. Let's continue with that clip.
He's a very strong leader. He comes from a very tough place, and he's a tough guy. I liked him. I get along with him. The new president of Syria. And we'll do everything we can to make Syria successful because that's part of the Middle East. We want to see Syria become a country that's very successful, and I think this leader can do it. I really do. I think this leader can do it.
Wow, powerful comments indeed. So what would success in Syria actually look like? And even going beyond that, what would be the role of the United States in seeing that come to reality? Well, joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Keith Self. He serves on the House on several committees, including the House Foreign Affairs Committee, where he chairs the subcommittee on Europe. He also served our country faithfully for 25 years in the Army before retiring with the rank of lieutenant colonel. He represents the 3rd Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Self, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to have you, and happy Veterans Day to you. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Jody. Great to be here with you, particularly on this day.
On this special day, indeed. All right, so let's begin with the meeting that took place with al-Sharaa at the White House yesterday. Your thoughts?
Well, President Trump is making gargantuan efforts to bring peace to the Middle East. But I want to let our viewers know who this al-Sharaa is. His former name was al-Jawlani. He fought American forces in Iraq for 3 years. We had him in prison for 5 years. Then he went to Syria, and he now is the president of Syria. I would caution people that taqiyya is a concept in Sharia, in Islam, that allows them to lie to us until they can strengthen their position. I want Syria to be successful, but right now we have minority religions that are being killed, that are being persecuted inside Syria, and he's doing nothing about it.
Yeah, and that's the big concern for many of us. I understand that topic at least came up yesterday. Do you have any idea how far that conversation went with the new Syrian leader, or do you think that this is just the meeting yesterday was the beginning of more talks to come, and hopefully that issue of persecuted minorities being addressed?
Yeah, I think it will have to be addressed in future meetings. At the first meeting, you don't have that depth of a conversation. But I trust that the administration will continue to have that conversation, to get deeper into it, and to make very clear that Americans will stand with persecuted minorities, particularly the Christians, the Druze, and even the Alawites, understanding that Assad was an Alawite. So we need to stand with the persecuted minorities.
Well, President al-Sharaa did say in an interview with Fox News that Syria would not, at this time, enter into talks to join the Abraham Accords. But the reason being, he cited the so-called occupation of Israel in the Golan Heights. So be that whatever it may be from his perspective. But he did float the possibility of future talks with the help of President Trump and his administration. So as you just mentioned, some of these conversations don't go to the end game right away. There are future talks. And at least in this regard, he said he's open to future talks. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, he would have to say that because he wants the U.S. to support him in Syria. He wants to be successful. He wants the U.S. to support him. So he will say that. Our job is to trust but verify, to use an old Reagan term, because I am not convinced that he is the moderate Muslim that he says he is. Because again, Sharia demands that both Muslims and non-Muslims submit. So let's see how it is going forward. Trust, but verify.
Okay, so that leads me to the moving forward with extending the lifting of sanctions for another 180 days. What's your thoughts? Is that a appropriate way for us to enter into this discussion right now, do you think?
I don't like that because of his stance on Israel. Now you got to understand his family comes from the Golan Heights, part of his family. So when he mentioned the Golan Heights, it immediately perked up my ears because he holds Israel obviously as the cause of the trouble in the Middle East. I don't think that there's any argument there. And because he does, I think we ought to proceed very cautiously. We need to demand steps from them before we start offering steps to them. So I'm not convinced that we're there to lift sanctions. That is a serious issue when you lift sanctions. And I'm not sure this is the guy I'm going to trust to lift U.S. sanctions on him.
Well, it's going to be very, very interesting. But again, if anybody's going to be doing this, I'm sure President Trump is the one for it. Real quickly, we've got only about a little over a minute here. The Turkey representative was in the meeting yesterday. I wanted your real quick thoughts on that. And then you've got a bill that was introduced last month to help extend religious rights to veterans. Speak on that real quickly, too.
Yeah, real quickly, Turkey. I am very concerned that Turkey and Israel may go to conflict. So Turkey being in this meeting with Syria, I don't think is a good sign because Israel will defend southern Syria because that's on their border. So let's leave it at that. I don't like Turkey being in this meeting. I have concerns about Turkey being a NATO ally and in the Middle East. Now, to my bill, if a veteran wants to be referred to a faith-based organization, this gives VA, if he wants it, the authority to do that for the veteran. The veteran is in charge.
Wow. Thank you so much, Texas Congressman Keith Self. Always an honor to have you. Again, thank you for your service. Thank you. Happy Veterans Day to you. And thank you so much for joining us on Washington Watch today.
Thank you, Jody.